Tyler has come back around for round two for a demo this week for us, and we've been working on a number of projects in the background. Some of you on the call know about these things, but Tyler, we're really excited to have you back, and we're going to add in some layers of what it looks like from my desk. I'm going to share screen today and kind of work with Tyler and show from my desk what this looks like, what it's doing for us, and how it's supporting the offices. So he's working on some things that I'm sure that he will share and divulge. I'll let him do that. And I just want to say that I really appreciate you guys all taking the time to be here this afternoon. I don't know about you, but I feel like I've already flown around the world and back today. So I'm happy to be kind of just in my seat for an hour with you all to talk about good things for our industry. So. And I hope everyone is surviving the holiday season. That's the other thing that I think I'm also juggling on the background. Mom's called and given me my instructions on where I need to be and when and how and what to bring. All right. So, a couple of announcements that I'll make as we kind of get started into today. We're going to do the demo with Fairway and go through that. But we do have an event that I wanted to share with everyone that's going to be coming up that I just got the date for of January 23rd is going to be our date for the DC Auto Show title and registration seminar. And so, what we're going to be doing is putting out some emails to our sponsors from last year to give them kind of like first dibs to our sponsorship levels. The association wants us to handle it that way because we had such great sponsors last year. But I am working on making more space for more booths. So, it's possible we might be able to get Tyler in the space, so we have him in person for this event. If not, be able to talk about this product in front of these title agents. But these are all the title agents from the dealers that are in the Washington, D.C., Virginia area. And you usually have like a turnout of about 125. We had a packed room. Shane can attest to that last year. So we're really excited about this. We are getting a room, two rooms this year, so we'll have more space. So I'm working on all of what our attendance level can be potentially. But I really encourage you guys to share this within your networks. I'm going to be making posts on LinkedIn and putting things out in email. But the real reason why is Winata has also graciously said that they would give us half the profits back to NIFTA. So this is really important for us. Last year, they gave us a check for $2,700, which helped us to apply that towards our AMVA travel, AMVA membership, keeping us in the places that we need to as an association. And we are going to be taking those funds this year from this event, and we're going to be putting that into our pool for our annual meeting. We're working to have an annual meeting in the fall of 2026. This is another big lift for Beth, but it's not just Beth. We have Joanne, who is our ED, our executive director, and sitting in that position. And we also have a full board and agents across the state and many businesses supporting us. So we thought about putting this to 2027, but we felt like it was a need now. So we're going to go ahead and push for it. We're most likely going to be in the Maryland area, possibly DC, but DC is a little bit of a lift for parking and traveling for some people. So it'll probably be in the Maryland area. And we're going to have breakout sessions. We're going to make this basically like a mini AMVA, but for training from the DMVs. So we'll have rooms where we break it out into different regions of the country. So we can have a region 1, 2, 3, and 4 breakout sessions and have a panel of those DMV jurisdictions to speak to the crowd and audience. So keep an eye out for that information because we're definitely going to need to have sponsors and support for this. We're very open to hearing what you want to as sponsors from an event like this and also attendees. So this is going to be a big one. We're really excited about it, but it's something that's very needed, especially as the states are working on e-titling and digital titling ideas for the future. This will be a place that we can have breakout tables, round tables to talk about different topics in the industry. And I think it's really essential to hear from us right now. That's one of the big asks that they have from the Anvil level is for us to be able to respond to them with surveys from our part of the industry. They're looking at these third parties and the dealers. Oh, Karen, I'm going to mute you. Um, so they're really looking at to us as third parties and our dealer title clerks for feedback because they look at us as the core of that map. So I could go on this forever, this topic, but I'm going to pause there. And if you guys have any questions, thoughts, ideas, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm going to share my email on the screen. I'll go through my little quick thing. I'm going to make it very short today for the opening demonstration of NIVTA, just because many of you have already seen it. So I'll keep it brief, but we'll keep it in accordance with our recording. So, um, I'm going to go ahead and get my screen share. We got Karen in the room. Karen is our chair for NIVTA, and we also have Tracy on the line. She's our vice chair for NIVTA as well. And these ladies are going to be helping Karen primarily speaking to the product of Fairway today to let you know how it's been changing things in her office, which, those live reviews are the biggest thing that we can bring to the table to help support Tyler with this product. All right, so let me get back to the beginning here. All righty. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just bring screen up here real quick. And I'm just going to go through our spiel. I really wanted to mention those events that are coming up, but the big thing is that our group really has been blossoming and growing. Some of the folks that wanted to be on the call today couldn't, so what I did was established a YouTube channel for NIVTA. And so that's where these videos are going to for our open meetings. So that way, if someone reaches out to us that couldn't quite get into the group, or maybe Shane, you have a client who's interested to learn more about it, you can pass them over to the YouTube channel, and these recordings are on there to go back to. So today we're sponsored by Fairway again, and really appreciate you, Tyler, with your support for our association and the work that you're doing with our agents. I feel like every time that I talk with someone, you have already been doing the work to talk to them. So great work out there in talking within the industry. And this really is something that aligns with our mission and vision for NIVTA. And I've mentioned with you many a times, I leave this on our website to refer back at any time. It's really important because our association is really one of the first to have a national formation for title agents. So it's really important for those out in the industry to know that how and why we're working with the DMVs the way that we are. And Tyler brings a really big creative product to the table for us to do better jobs at our transactions, which we'll dive into momentarily. Just a brief glimpse of what our website looks like when you go out there online and some of the information. We did do some updates to the website, so make sure when you get a chance, you go on there and check that out. We also have our LinkedIn page. So just to briefly let you guys know, if you don't have me as a friend of yours on LinkedIn, make sure that you do because we post a lot of information on there, quick alerts that are going on, and we're going to be doing more work on that in 2026 for our member portal. How to get involved. So if you're not a member of NIVTA, these are our membership levels. And this promo code down here does save you $50 if you want to join if you're not a member of NIVTA. And if you have any questions or if you want to have a one-on-one meeting with me prior to joining, there is an interested form that you can fill out as well. That'll nudge us to set up a meeting with you, and we'll be happy to chat. All right, and then just a brief mentioning of our AMVA partnership. This is just our third-party agent best practices guide that I always bring up in conversation to refer anyone to that's learning about what a third party is or wants to have a more better understanding of how our businesses are structured or set up across the country. And then just a reminder that we do have some surveys out. The big one that I would probably mention right now is we do have a Washington titling or e-titling feedback form. I think this one's really important. I mentioned this because we've got Danielle on the call. She's a sub agent out there in Washington State, and there's a lots of things changing out there. So that's a survey there that's for you, or we just have a general e-titling form. This is something that we take this feedback, and when we have meetings with the jurisdictions, meetings at AMVA, in conversations, this is where we take your feedback as a member or someone who's even interested in our association and take that up the chain to see if that's something that we can actually start to make a difference in. And lastly, because I cut my slides short, like I promised you I would, Tyler, this is just my contact information. So if you need to get in touch with me, that's my mobile number, text, call me anytime, and my email. So I'm here all ears, and I want to hear how we can serve you and help you. And today, like I mentioned, we're going to talk about Fairway, and I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen here. And we're going to dive into a little bit more in detail about the system, how it's really helping to better our offices and our processes. So, Tyler, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you for introduction and to talk about anything that you would like to kick off the meeting with.
Great. Thanks, Beth. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm going to keep it relatively short. I think there's various people on this call that have probably seen this demo, but there's some new faces as well. So I'm going to go through it all. But if there are particular areas, given the small group, that you want to do a deeper dive on, I'd say let's make this collaborative. Feel free to speak up and we can go and click around and go deeper. Just as a background in the origin story, so I've been in the fleet and kind of automotive adjacent space for the last 10 years. 10 years ago, I started a company called Booster Fuels. And at Booster, we were delivering gas and renewable diesel directly to fleets. So built a nationwide network of tankers, so hundreds of tankers across the US, 8 different states. Quickly realized interstate operations, title and registration, tanker, hazmat, CDL is really complex. And so I did that for 7 years and wanted to start a new company and thought back to those pain points and thought with everything happening in technology, with AI, machine learning, there's this new application and this opportunity to automate and make much of this process easier for anybody that's submitting to the DMV and then also for the DMV themselves. In terms of what we hear, the folks on this line could probably say this way better than me, so I might actually ask others. But I've heard 20% error rates, rejection rates, super time consuming. It's manual. It requires armies of humans to do this accurately. And then when things don't go right, or if a dealer doesn't submit exactly what you need, I'm sure that never happens. That you are chasing folks down, right? And it's really time consuming. So that's what I've heard, but maybe I will just pause. Did I miss anything? Are there folks on the phone that have had different experiences, or does this resonate?
Definitely.
I
Tyler, you're
want
right on.
Yeah, Tyler, I wanted someone else to jump in before I did. 100%. These are all of our pain points. I think the biggest thing is that time-consuming process part, and that's what I'm really excited to share when I go through some of my files. It saved a lot of time. I mean, the amount of time to put things together. I mean, we're still, like we've mentioned and discussed, we're still dealing with some states where, you have to go and collect the title application before you can even start the process. Maine, that's the state of Maine, having to get the 4-part carbon copy title application. And, we're in conversations with them. And what may seem like a small lift to you and I for them to change, they're actually mapping this out to be something for 2027 to take a couple of years to change from. So we're going to be dealing with these time consuming processes. So anything you can throw away, Tyler, to save that.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I think jumping right into the solution. So we've effectively codified the rules and regulation across all 50 states and have created operational software to make that entire process of vehicle is sold to submission much easier and much more streamlined. And we're doing it at scale. We're doing about 1 million transactions per year and growing really fast. There's three main products that we have. So one, and this is the underlying logic, is that and the rules engine are the checklist. So you put in a VIN, you put in transaction parameters, and you get that structured checklist of requirements. So all transaction types across state, in state, etc. The second is form filling, super complementary to the rules. So we've identified we need this specific form, a title application as an example. We can fill out forms in an automated way. And then the third piece is audit. So you follow the checklist, you put together the forms, and you have that completed packet. With a PDF scan, we can tell you with high accuracy if it is compliant and will be accepted by the DMV or not, and why it is not compliant, so that you can go and fix that proactively before you're on this 2 week kind of submission cycle, 3 week submission cycle with the DMV. So in terms of audit, we're doing thousands of rules, but there's some common errors that we wanted to highlight. So, signatures, missing forms, missing purchase price on a bill of sale, odometer readings, lease agreements, financing documents, liens, etc. We're doing those, and then we're doing everything else. I'd say we're doing missing forms, mismatches across forms, typos, lack of signature, etc. And then we've also implemented what we call multi-doc consistency checker. So this is kind of a first line of defense against fraud, and just errors generally, where we're looking across documents and looking for inconsistencies. I'd say inconsistencies in any kind of really obvious fraudulent alterations on key documents. So that's the platform. But I'll let, yeah, Beth, you use it. I'd love to hear your experience.
Yeah, absolutely, Tyler. My logo came up and I was like, alerted. Turn. Okay, sorry. So Tyler, thank you so much. And thank you too for some of those updated slides with that information. The background between you and Conrado, I think, did you both meet in college? I just am curious. I want to trace that back.
We met in business school.
Oh,
Yeah,
you met,
10
okay.
years ago.
10 years ago. Okay, cool. I just went through that funnel. I just like that slide. It's always good to hear that background and where you guys have been at before you went on this journey. So, all right, enough of that. So let me give you my case study because I know that's what Tyler's looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So let me bring up my Fairway account. I'm really excited because we've been putting in lots of transactions and this system has just immensely helped our office. So, you guys can see my screen okay, Tyler? Good? Okay. All right. So, we've got lots of different states that we put in. We have different users established within our Fairway system. And this helps me. And I want to kind of talk to you all from like an owner standpoint because I know we have business owners on the call primarily from our tag agents today. And what this did in my office is it took us to, as soon as work was coming in the door, we're now getting it out. There's not even a day delay in it because we have embedded this process into our check-in process. Now, a lot of tag agencies that I've been talking with, they don't necessarily do a full check-in process, but I think it also depends on the type of tag agency you're operating. And so our office, we do a lot of work through mail, FedEx, UPS, dealers, and fleet sending work into us. So we don't necessarily have the public coming in through the front door. We do, but not a small percentage. So with that being said, we have developed a process workflow in our office to capture and document because a lot of times with our transactions, if something does go awry or there is a problem with a lien holder, improperly recorded, things like that, or an issue with a processor, I want to be able to go back to my client and show a full timeline of when we took in the deal to the moment it was done and everything that went on in between. Now, that seems like, okay, that's a lot of time spent on that, Beth. But I'll tell you from my experience, those one-off deals that go sideways, it makes a big difference when you're going through and doing this type of transaction, checking in, verifying, and saving those files properly. So we do this within our CRM tool that we have built out. If anyone's interested in CRMs, I'm happy to chat about that as well. But we have taken Fairway in conjunction with that. So when we bring a deal into our office, dropped off by UPS, we open it up and we start to assess, is this a new request? Is this rejections? Is this completed work? Well, when it's a new deal coming into our office, what I've done is I've trained the staff as soon as the work is coming in to immediately drop the file into our Fairway system. So this then will start to go through the analyzing and the review stage. And then as soon as it hits the desk of my processor, because it only takes a couple minutes to analyze the file, it's ready for them to start the job. And what it does is when you go in and you upload your deal, and the status is now done analyzing and it's ready for review, you can just simply click on review. So that next agent that needs to do the processing can go in and see what they actually need to remedy and what they don't. So I really like the feature here with the correct sections and then also the action required. So the action required on this file particularly, and this is one for West Virginia, is the power of attorney. So it even helps us to stop and pause on the power of attorneys to know if they have been executed for someone to be appointed to do the processing or not. So that way, your processor knows where they really need to apply signatures, stamps, or do anything that they need to do back with that client to correct a notary or maybe the dealership, the customer didn't sign the power of attorney. The system's also catching those signatures. But in this case, this is one where it wasn't appointed out to our office. So I'll pause there. Power of attorneys are a big thing in our business because that's how we get the job done. I just want to see if you guys have any questions there or comments.
Hey Beth, I actually do have a question.
Sure, Shane.
And maybe for Tyler, but in Pennsylvania, for example, when I was working at a dealer, we used an LPOA and we used an SPOA. Is it able to determine the difference and know which one you can use for that whatever particular situation?
It's a good question. I don't know the specifics within Pennsylvania,
I didn't think you
but
probably, why would you?
yeah, I usually rely on the AI. It is the system is capable of doing that if those rules are built in. For that specific rule, I I don't know if it's built in, but it is capable.
Okay. That was just the one thing, and I saw POA. I'm like, this is a perfect time to ask. So cool. Thanks.
Yep. That's why I wanted to bring up the POA point because we do see all those varying POAs. And Shane, to touch on that too, one of the ones that we had talked about is Vermont. Vermont has a very specific power of attorney and they won't accept anything else. So we do have some state regulations on what power of attorneys can be utilized. And so, as we continue to work on this product, Tyler and I have been forming a committee group. And as we're working through that, that's going to also help us to apply even more finer tuned details. So if there's something that you don't see today, like Tyler said, it can be built out, it can be added in. He's working on a number of various projects and types of transactions to funnel through this. So,
Yeah, it's a good point, Beth. Yeah, we've got just to kind of further answer the question, we have different layers. So everything that is published online, we have ingested into our rules engine. I think we all know not everything is captured online. Like there are some nuances, there are some rules, there may be some DMV preferences that aren't written. And so those types of things, yeah, to Beth's point, are ingested from our Insight Partners network. So that's our network of tag agents, a smaller, select, trusted group that can help inform some of those.
Right. So I do have a Pennsylvania deal, Shane. So let's click on that one and see. All right, so this one does have the power of attorney in the correct section. So they have one that's acceptable by the state. If I click on that, you'll see, up here where it says met, that everything's taken care of. So this one here, it does, I mean, I'm catching, so I still need to stamp it, honestly, but this is what you would see with the power of attorney fully executed is this, it's met, and then it's also listed here in the correct section. So these are the only items that we would need to do anything with up at the top. And it looks like we probably have a few varying things that got scanned in. We have checks and quotes and other paperwork, so it probably just got misscanned in there. But here we go. Here's, this is the MV41 form. So it just talks about the details there. So to kind of show you, Shane, specifically for each jurisdiction, it does go in and talk about the specific forms that are needed, and it does reference those. And that's one of the reasons why, bringing this into the office also helps when there's missing forms or it has certain things that need to be advised on what's missing on that state form. All right, I'm gonna go back. Let's see. And then I think the other one that I wanted to bring up was a Michigan one, if this is the one I was thinking about. Okay. So this is, we were talking about, Tyler mentioned, dealers sending in work and we have to chase them down for things, ask them questions. It happens. I mean, it's kind of like we know that that's going to be expected. That's what we deal with. But this system allows us to be a lot faster to back to the dealership to say what we need and keep it in a professional manner. So again, putting my business owner hat on, one of my biggest challenges was informal emails. Hey, I need blah, 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 instead of a professional email being addressed about what is really wrong with this file. So in our office, we created a number of email templates, so all our staff has to do is literally, let's say this is something we couldn't remedy as a title agent working on behalf of the dealership. They could simply just copy and paste this messaging at the top, put that in their email template, and shoot that off to the dealer. So that's one of the other big things I wanted to bring up. Tyler, go ahead. I saw you on mute. Jump in.
Yeah. Can you do me a favor, Beth? Will you press submit on that transaction
Yes.
at the very bottom left?
Yep. There
So
we
this
go.
is a new feature that I have not shown you. So now it has the
Thanks, Tyler. I get to
yeah.
learn today.
Yeah, this just got deployed in the last week or two. So yeah, it effectively packages all of that in a really nice email. So you don't have to like copy and paste the reasons anymore. You can now take this and it's like the same structured feedback that a dealer will get every time.
That's perfect. Thank you, Tyler. See, every time we talk, there's another new feature that's coming out that's going to help us. That's cool. I like that. So just hit copy message here and then paste that into your email and send it out. So perfect. Always saving time. I do want to point out here, because I don't know about anybody else, but I've been getting a lot of Michigan deals where for some reason, the applications, they just never want to fill them out. I always get it looking like this. And I don't know if it's coming out of DMS systems like this. That's very possible. But these application forms, they're always just showing the $15 title fee, nothing else ever broken down. So there's a lot on these applications that I find that we have to fill in always the transaction type, if they're transferring a plate or not. Otherwise, what's going to happen when it goes to the DMV. So this is just something to point out that I've been noticing on this particular state. And since we brought up sometimes what we have to go back to the dealerships for. Let's see. Those are the files that I wanted to kind of go over and share. The other tool that I'll just briefly mention, just because Tyler, you didn't bring it up yet, but talking with that business owner hat are the checklist. This here I really like because you can make it VIN specific, but you can also just make a general checklist. So let's say, I have actually a lot of new staff that I've been working with my office, and I know that we're in Maryland. We usually know Maryland like the back of our hand. However, we've got someone that's, new coming in. So let's say it's a state to state relocation. That's a lot of times where we need to have a checklist for the customers and a pretty repetitive task in our office. So you can go in here, select what state, what type of transaction, and there's a ton on that list. It gets very in the weeds, which is great for us because we deal with, hundreds of different types of transactions for clients. And this is just going to form a list. And so it'll go through, create your custom list for the particular state and transaction. Should be done here in a second. And then again, another great thing that you can just copy and paste out of the system and share with the clients. This could be my internet too, with the Zoom meeting with all your lovely faces on it. So, all right. Well, we'll give that a moment here. Let me just hit reload on my page. All right. Well, regardless, I'm not gonna waste time on that, but that's where you would do the general. The other one that I wanted to really show is more the pinpointed. This one's really helpful here because you can get down into the weeds on what county. You can put your actual VIN number in. So let me just grab a VIN number real fast out of my system because I want to just take one and give it a whirl here so you can see what we do with it. See. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and drop a VIN in. This is for 2025 Ford. So we're going to say financed and individual. If used, nope. So let's see here, Ford. And let's go ahead and we're just going to put like 150 miles on it. So, whoops, my apologies. Maryland, and we're going to do that state to state relocation. There we go. All right. Now it's letting me fill all the fields. All right, so we're going to go ahead and run that. I'll give that a minute to run, but this is one of the things that we've been really using for those customer inquiries because Daniel, I know you probably get it like me, all the phone calls of what do I do with this? What do I need to bring in? It's constant, and every case is slightly different. You have the scenario where, it's a gift transaction or whatever the customer is looking to do. There are solutions for it. There are ways to help these clients, but it can bog us down with giving them all the details. So this right here is just absolutely a wonderful tool because it goes into detail about the forms as well. And that's what I wanted to bring up and show you on the screen. I think that first go around, it was probably my internet, but this here, it shows exactly what they need to have on the out-of-state title, going over the Maryland title application, what needs to be filled out, and talking about their lien holder, because out-of-state transactions, people moving into our state, often they have loans already on their vehicles that we have to work with. And then this just goes through. So this really just gives a very detailed list on what you're going to need to have to get this taken care of. Even goes into the specific forms as well. And I just mentioned that to you, Shane, especially with the clients that you work with. That's really important and helpful for us because the states are constantly changing these things. So this is another resource of where to go to see those forms. Odometer, and the list goes on here. So this is just another feature under the checklist that I wanted to make sure to share with you guys today on this call as I did my case study for my office. It's been really great working with Tyler and with his team. They've been out to my office to do a site visit, spend some time together and do training with my team. And that's just one of the small perks of working with them. But the biggest is just they actually listen to us. They listen to us about the needs that we have for our industry in the current time, not what we're all working towards for the next decade. So, Tyler, thanks for that. And thanks for the time to share my side of the world and how I utilize Fairway. And I'm happy to take anybody's questions, or if you guys have any time that you want to do a one-on-one call with me about it, happy to chat more.
Beth, I do have a question for you.
Sure.
This might be for you or Tyler, but once you have either if I'm correct, if I'm understanding correctly, you can submit electronically, assuming the state does that, correct?
So are you talking about like doing electronic submission for processing through
Yeah,
Fairway?
yeah.
So there's not a way. Fairway is currently just a system, and sorry, Tyler, I jumped in, but I'll let you go too. The system right now is just for reviewing the paperwork and
Okay,
analyzing it.
okay. I wasn't. I know Tyler and I had talked about that, but I forgot. But nonetheless, my question is, okay, so let's say you print out your paperwork and you're ready to send it to the state's respective DMV office, excuse or whoever. Do you have a way to track that in that system of how many days it's taken to get it processed? Like, for example, I mean, just so you can go back into your records and look at that.
Not in the Fairway system, no.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I track it myself, but I didn't know if us, and I understand. I mean, if it was like electronic submission, which is why I asked first, that would be a lot easier to do or to set up. But yeah, I'm always tracking the time. So as we're all keep trying to keep an eye on that. So
And Tracy, I think, is thinking of like where we're going to be at in a decade, Tyler. These are these are the things we're working on. I'm just teasing.
Beth, I love how you always say, Tracy, it's a great idea. We're not quite there
We're
yet.
not quite there
We're
yet.
working on it. We're working on it.
It's all good
Okay,
though.
thank you.
Yeah, no, but Tracy, I do want to say, I can tell you firsthand because I showed one of my Michigan deals. So I've been tracking in my office the difference since we've started to use Fairway.
Yeah,
And as I mentioned, it's not only about the turn time for when the deals come in, but
right.
now we have our Michigan deals received by a customer, gone through our internal process, processed out at Michigan, sent out, processed at Michigan, sent back to us, done, all of that within 12 days now.
Nice.
And
Well,
it used to
that's
take
pretty
about a month.
efficient.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it used to really take about a solid 30 days to get all of that done a lot of times. And this
yeah,
is going directly to Lansing. This is not using a runner or anything in the middle. This is just
yeah.
shipping from our office in Maryland up to Michigan.
Very nice.
Yep.
Well, no, I know you've expressed that to me.
Mhm.
And I really appreciate that.
Yep.
Um, I guess the tracking is something that for me is gotten well, not for me, for everybody is so time consuming. But again, I think, Fairway will be the first to be on board with that when we can start doing ELT submissions to some of these states, which we're all looking forward to one day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep, one
yeah,
day. One day
yeah.
we'll have some more of that. But, at least for now, and not even having electronic submission to have a deal like that done within 12 days, that's a pretty big lift to make
Yeah,
happen.
huge,
And
huge.
I think one of the things, and I'll let Tyler speak to this, one of the things that Tyler's been working on, and I know that Karen wants to chime in too and speak this afternoon on her experience with Fairway. So, the gosh, I'm so sorry. I lost my train of thought. But basically, the way that they are being submitted and it not being an electronic fashion, Tracy, the time period, even with our normal process of having to send it manually into the state, it cutting half of the time at the current state is really, really big. And I think it's just going to keep making our offices continue to stay relevant with our clients if we can use tools like this to shave off a day or two. It makes a
Oh
difference.
gosh, absolutely huge, Beth. I agree.
Yep. And
Oh.
I now remember what I was going to say because, all right, I am in my 40s and my brain is in my 40s too. So Tyler has also been working on a project to help us with a cover sheet. And I think that this is one of those places where the states are going to really start to now see us using something like this. So Tyler, I don't know if you want to touch on that. I don't want to share too much, but I want to give you an opportunity to maybe touch on that part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me highlight three, like you said, like we're constantly building, we're constantly adding new stuff. And since we have a smaller group, I'll go ahead and show off some of those things. So I'd say one is the ability to make interfacing with EVRs much easier. So let's go with this one as an example. So you're still getting the paperwork from a dealer, but ultimately you want to get it into a system and submit electronically. Currently, that entails manual typing. And so one thing that we've done is make it really easy to just take the physical paperwork, extract everything, and then make it copy and paste ready for any, software that you're using to submit electronically. So that's one. So all of this is structured data that comes from scanned paperwork to enable you to just copy and paste into whichever EVR provider you're using. So, lien holder information, et cetera, is one thing to highlight. Two is, yeah, what you described, which is the cover sheet. So we have a new feature. So if you want to put you're submitting to the DMV, you want a cover sheet that just makes it really easy to see the most important information. We have this cover sheet generator. It shows demo here in the platform. You upload your own logo. So it's custom. It'll have all of your company's information. But it shows, yeah, all of the most important information. So if you wanted trade in, you could put a value here, plate transfer, return instructions. You can customize this all, and then print this out as your cover sheet to just make it really fast, really easy, really automated. And then the last thing I would show is the form fill. So Beth, you had an example where I think it was the Michigan application form just wasn't filled out. So no, we now have one touch auto fill. So here's an example where we've identified that the lien holder isn't listed here. So you can see here, 34, there is a lien holder, it's not listed. You just press complete with the AVA fill, and it'll automatically populate a new updated title application that has extracted from all of the extracted data from all the other documents. So for this one, you can see it's the same form, and now it's populated with the correct information here. And then you can make changes as needed before you ultimately print and submit. So yeah, I think those are the latest and greatest features.
Thanks, Tyler, for that. We appreciate those latest and greatest features. Karen, let me bug you for a minute. Do you want to come off mute and chat up with us about how your system's been functioning in your office down
So
in
I would
Florida?
love to tell you that, but we got with Tyler, we did a office-wide demonstration and we are still implementing it. So we have not actively started using it yet.
No problem, Karen. Yeah, and I know we talked earlier, so I know you've just started working with it. I just am curious, when you start to implement it in your office, do you have any plans on like where you're going to put it at in the workflow? I'm just curious if you've kind of thought about that strategy at all.
Yeah, so currently with the system that we use, the work comes in via, whatever method, and it gets scanned into our system. A record gets created, it gets scanned in for trackability, letting the client know we have the transaction. And our so with the states that Fairway is able to do document prepping on, it will go it will go to Fairway first. On the states, obviously, that Fairway can't create the documents, it'll go after we've prepared them. Now, we have been speaking with Techion as well for the states, because it seems that they have some more states, I guess, that we may be using a hybrid of both systems.
Okay. And let me ask, are they states that are focused in a certain region of the country that you're noticing that are different with the Techion company?
I I have just done the demo with Techion,
Gotcha. Okay.
and that's as far as I've gotten. And so we're just still trying to evaluate. Remember, our work is a little bit different, while probably anybody on this call is more
is a very dealer focused or, vehicle focused. We're doing a little bit of everything. So, you know, I would say, Tyler, correct me if I'm wrong, but your document creation or application creation is only available for what states?
So it works for many states. I don't have the list off the top of my head. And then if there's any major states that you need, we basically just take requests and put it in the roadmap.
Oh,
So
so you and I need to have a side conversation about that because I got a very different impression from our last conversation. So maybe I misunderstood.
yeah, yeah, let's sync up and I can get you up to speed.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is probably along the lines of where I had when I started talking to Karen about like how everyone's office is like a little bit different in who they serve and who they help. And I know you deal with a lot of mobile homes and different transactions, just like me dealing with my school buses recently.
Yeah.
They're just not a regular vehicle transaction to put through the system. But Tyler, I can say he's working with one of the dealerships here in Maryland, and they're having conversations to help put this on their sales floor, which is now looking at other documents, not just the title and registration documents, like looking at the warranty or WEO, things like that for signatures. So, yeah, I would definitely have a side conversation with Tyler, Karen, because if you're seeing that and not getting the results back you need on your particular types of transactions, that's worth having a conversation over.
Yep. We certainly will.
Yeah. Yep. And on that tune too, Tyler, with the dealers, I will mention, the DC Auto Show meeting that we're going to be having in January. Those are going to be all the title agents that are going to be working in the dealership space. And this is one of those arenas where they're having challenges from, F&I and from the sales floor getting the documents upstairs to the title departments. And it's a constant problem and a back and forth. So I think that as more of that process rolls out with the dealership style transaction that we're working on with the dealership here in Maryland, that might be something to be able to take out for a future demo because that's some of those sales floor documents can really be a challenge. All right, so let's see. Does anyone have any other questions about the system or about anything in general? We're happy to chat about. I know we have a handful of minutes left here. And, again, Tyler, I really appreciate your time today and also sharing the cover sheet. I really like the features to be able to toggle on and toggle off the trade-in information and the lien holder. Our cover sheets, this saves us from doing another task. So I appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
I actually do have a question, Tyler. Uh, the one piece you mentioned about was like importing to an EVR, ETR, ERT, whatever you want to call it in that particular state, exporting to that software. Um, are you doing that with anybody yet? Or is this that's kind of like a pilot that you're working on?
So not automatically, which is interesting. So right now it's like we have the structured data and instead of manually typing it, copy and pasting it. But I do think there's more of an opportunity to make that a very integrated flow that it just like it's automatically validated and pushed through.
And what I was thinking was like if you were worked with somebody like Motive, for example, that all the data went into their system and then into each individual ETR provider system, as like an import from like a dealer management system, like from Reynolds or CDK or Techion or any of those, for them to be able to just import it from that point would be super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I love all of these ideas, Shane. I think that's a great idea, and that's where I think a lot of the challenge with the dealerships comes into play. And if this was something, they have DMS systems. They have so much more than we have in our title agent offices. And if I had something like that, I would immediately put this into play and then start working with Tyler on how you can tie an API for it to be automated.
1000%. Tyler, I don't know if you've spoken with anybody on our side recently, but we definitely need to refresh that conversation. Because I see I just from watching this again today, I've come up with some other ideas that I could see would be extremely helpful on the dealership individual, but the title agent space as well, like Beth had mentioned. So
Mhm. Yep.
To
Cool.
piggyback on a couple of these, for transparency, Autodated Direct is a Reynolds and Reynolds company. So if that's a direction that you're looking to go at any point with the DMSs, I'll be happy to be a contact point and get you with people who can dive into that further.
Cool.
Awesome.
Stephen and Shane, why don't you guys drop your emails in the chat? That way Tyler's got those.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is why we have these meetings. So it's to help make those connections. I mean, Tyler and I have had a lot of conversations. We've both been very busy working on and building things in the businesses. And, now it's a lot about making the right connections to further evolve this. So thank you guys for being on here.
absolutely, I love this. I
Good.
absolutely love it.
That's why I sent you a text message. I was like, I need you on here because you need to see this
I,
today.
I know, and
So
I saw it before, but every time there's something new, and I'm just so impressed. Like it's just I Tyler and the team, you've done a fantastic job. It's awesome.
cool.
Appreciate
I
it.
love that feedback. Two thumbs up, Tyler.
I'll
Yeah.
take it.
Oh, go ahead, Tyler. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying I'll take it. Yeah, I appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, and I would say too, the same thing, Shane. Every time Tyler and I talk, he's working on the next thing that I was already thinking about. So they're definitely going in the right direction to help our industry with this. And anything I can do to attest to what it's been doing in our office. We're kind of like I'm kind of at a point where I'm going to have to start launching a massive marketing campaign in January because we need more work. Because we've gotten so fast on the internals that I'm like, okay. So it's been a good thing. And I really encourage anyone if you're, thinking about a particular funnel or you have a certain challenge in this area, Tyler's one to hear it and help you with it. So, but I know we have a couple minutes left. Tyler, is there anything else that you want to add today? Do you want to drop in your contact information in the chat thing? Anything like that? I just want to make sure to give you a moment as we wrap up.
Yeah, no, I'll just drop my contact information here. This is my email. Yeah, feel free to reach out if we like you said, we're constantly building, we're finding new applications. So if there's something that's taking your team a lot of time, or causing rejections, errors, etc., we'd love to hear those things and start to proactively. I think that the suite as it stands today already fights the bulk of that, but always looking for more. So I appreciate the feedback.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, guys. Anybody else have any other questions or anything before we finish up for today? Everyone's quiet. All right. Well, I hope everyone continues to have a productive week. I really appreciate your time being here this afternoon. Just a reminder, next week's meeting, we'll have that closed for our NIVTA members. But just if you're not a member of NIVTA, feel free to come on back every second Wednesday of the month. Let me get it out. And Tyler and I, we're going to be in the next month, we're going to be working to try to get someone from South Carolina to come in so we can talk with them about how they implemented Fairway down in South Carolina. So, working on that, and we have some other vendors that are going to be coming up on upcoming webinars. So, I hope you guys have a good afternoon. Tyler, thank you again for your time this afternoon and doing a demo with our group. And I wish everybody the best of luck for the rest